Here we are talking with Jamie Bamber at Supanova in Perth. Jamie, how are you going?
I'm going good, very well.
How was Sydney?
Sydney was excellent. I love Sydney. I love just being there. I love the different suburbs on the water, and I've got family there. So for me, it's a double whammy. I get to hang out with new fans that I haven't met before, but also my cousins as well, who I'm very close to.
Quite convenient.
Yeah, it's a nice chance to catch up with them and see different corners of the town that I don't actually know.
Yeah, yeah. Now, in your career, you've acted in shows set in some very different settings, looking at things like Hornblower, Battlestar, of course, and Band of Brothers.
Yep.
How does that impact you in an acting perspective? Does that play into your process, getting into your mindset for a role, or it must be a good experience?
No, the different contexts that the jobs take and the characters live in are just opportunities to experience different things and work in different ways. But no, they don't really come into the process. The process is always pretty much the same. It's to understand where these people are coming from, what choices they're having to make, what pressures they're responding to, and the different locations and different places and different styles that we shoot in are sort of incidental but quite fun sort of bonuses.
Do you have like a preference? Do you like the sci-fi setting or the classical Hornblower setting? Or
do I have a preference? No, I don't. I don't think about that thing. That doesn't come into my thinking because they're all people in situations, and it's really the story that matters to me. The story and the character's journey. I don't think of genre at all when I consider choices. It doesn't come into my thinking.
Now, I'm interested to know, were you a Star Wars fan at all growing
up?
up?
As a kid, mad Star Wars fan, yeah.
So what was it like with Dennis on the set of Hornblower? Were there any Star Wars stories or anything there about his time as Wedge Antilles?
It was a long time ago. Well, the thing about Dennis is at the time, I think his nephew Ewan had just gotten the job as a Jedi Knight, so Dennis was more sort of tickled with that sort of circularity.
Was he excited by that?
Yeah, of course he was, yeah. And Dennis is a lovely man. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is something that my generation grew up with, and we saw the films in the movie theatre, and it laid the groundwork for a lot of our experience of popular culture. I haven't continued as a sort of Star Wars fan in the same way that many have, but it's still a very important part of my childhood, and I had all the toys and everything. And, they're films that I have fond memories of encountering them for the first time.
Yeah. And when you think about some of the work you've done so far, is there anything that stands out in mind in terms of you sort of think, they were a wonderful cast to work with, I'll really hold them all close to my heart in particular? Or?
I've been so lucky, and I could name 3 or 4 different casts where I think that the show that I've just done in the UK, The Smoke, is right up there for that. I had a great... Yeah, it's about a fire precinct in Mile End in the East End of London, and about a firefighter in particular who is very badly injured and tries to understand what happened to him as he goes back to work. And it was a young cast, really talented cast, and they were just wonderful. I mean, Battlestar, I'm still super close with everybody involved. We're lifelong friends already. Hornblower, I could say the same thing. So I've been blessed. Yeah.
And with Battlestar, obviously when someone says we're doing a new Battlestar show, you instantly think of what's come before, and I guess the style that was done with. When did you first sort of learn that they were taking a very different tone? It was going to be more of a gritty, edgier sci-fi take, and when did you see that aspect?
When I turned over the cover page of Battlestar Galactica, and then I read a 2-page mission statement that Ron Moore had written about what we were doing. And
is that how he pitched it, sort of?
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely saw this as a documentary set in space. It should feel immediate and real and raw and visceral. He was responding to 9/11 as his sort of inspiration for reconnecting with the old Battlestar myth, and and humanity responding to the fact that it's been attacked by an unknown enemy, but an enemy of its own creation. And I mean, everything that he set out to do was to make it real and visceral and immediate. So the sci-fi was kind of exploded out of it very early on, and it really didn't come into the way we were thinking. Edward James Olmos went on record as saying if he sees an alien show up in our show, then he's leaving straight away. It just wasn't set up in that sort of way. And as a result, it was great fun to play. We did a boot camp. Michael Reimer, our Australian director, insisted on a Band of Brothers style boot camp to create a real military reality and structure that wasn't goofy or placed or sort of devised. It felt immediate, and people in the military who've seen Battlestar all respond to the fact that it does feel like their experience, although it's in space and a different time, and they're encountering some pretty far out problems.
Yeah, and was working with a more sort of special effects heavy story interesting from an actor? You just sort of learnt some new skills?
There were very few effects in digital effects in Battlestar. I mean, in terms of our process as actors, the green screen and the VFX we used to extend sets that actually existed. We were working on completely constructed 360-degree sets. Most of the Cylon interaction was with the human Cylons, played by other actors, obviously. The only time when the VFX really come into play are, the external shots of spaceships, which actors, yes, we inhabited in the Viper fights, and those required a lot of imagination, and that was tough. And we had to sort of rehearse mentally. I would sit down with the VFX boys, watch their pre-visualizations of the fights, and then sort of imagine where I am in that fight and how my eye lines changed. And that was hard. And I had to sort of rehearse it in my head and so know that this ship is going like that. So you have to track it with your eyes, even though you're not moving anywhere. And, that was a discipline. But other than that, we were really just acting in the same way that we'd be acting in a, modern day drama. It wasn't any different.
Yeah. How awesome was it sitting in the cockpit of the Viper?
Oh, it was a kick every time, I have to say. It was hard work because it was isolating and hot in there, and your only communication was through radio. And if sometimes all the crew and the director are sitting out there, and between takes you stay in the Viper, which is up a step ladder and with the lights all around you, and some of the lights circle you to simulate the movement. So you're locked in there, and then you see the sandwiches get brought around, and they would wander off, and they weren't on a microphone, so they couldn't even hear what you were saying. Right. So you sometimes it was like, guys, I'm still here.
So the shoot's quite long sometimes?
Oh, yeah. There were always a second unit day at the end of the episode. So the main unit was off doing something else, and one by one, each Viper pilot would get in the Viper and do like an hour or 2 hours at a time, sometimes more. And they were pretty intense hot days. Those suits don't breathe, and you just sweat a lot and all the rest of it. But those were the fun days too. Those were when you get to be a kid and play war in space with dangerous robots trying to kill you every second. And I think when I do watch the show again, it's those bits will make me smile.
Okay, now tell us a little bit about the new film that's coming out later in Australia, John Doe Vigilante. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's an extremely hard-hitting piece. It's a thriller which we shot in Melbourne 3 years ago, and I had a great time, 6 weeks in Melbourne with my family. And it's a polemic about the justice system, about the way the media creates heroes and villains out of events in the news, and it's challenging. It'll make you think about what we do each and every day when we read about wrongdoing in society and how we choose to put it right, and how dangerous some reactions are and how some ways of reporting it are. And it's quite unlike any other thing I've seen recently, and
sounds a bit like a psychological.
It's psychological, but sort of social as well. And there's a genre element to it. It does for what District 9 did for alien movies, bringing it down to earth into a real social context. I think it kind of does for the masked vigilante comic book kind of genre. So there's a nod to the genre world for sure.
All right, sounds interesting. All right, so keep an eye out for that one, everyone. John Doe Vigilante.
And you get to see my Australian accent, and you can judge whether it's any good or not.
We'll be sure to let you know.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
Cool.
I hope you have a great time
Pleasure.
in Perth.
Thank you.
Thanks
I am already.